todo mundo sai de casa para curtir as férias de verão, pegar sol, praia, ondas e curtir a natureza. E esse ano eu vou aproveitar tudo isso. Longe das montanhas de Liu, atravessando o deserto de Sumero, além do mar, na vibrante terra de Natlan. Hoje mesmo, no início das férias de verão, chega o update 5.3 de Genshin Impact. Então se acomode, meu pequeno espectador, porque você pode jogar Genshin Impact em qualquer lugar. No seu PC, no celular, no PlayStation, no Xbox, numa torradeira, até mesmo no seu micro-ondas. Atenção, você não pode jogar Genshin no seu micro-ondas. E estreando no patch 5.3, a poderosa Mavuika chega acelerando para atender toda a expectativa dessa geração. E eu tô muito empolgado porque eu e ela temos algo muito em comum. Ambos usamos espadas grandes. Finalmente uma Arconte com meu tipo de arma. Ela se destaca por habilidades que incorporam uma motocicleta flamejante, permitindo alta mobilidade e ataques únicos. Uma mecânica de jogo totalmente nova. E para conseguir essa potente personagem de 5 estrelas, Genshin traz bônus para os jogadores. 10 destinos entrelaçados e 1.600 gemas essenciais. Então a oportunidade de conseguir a Mavuka é agora! É agora! E não é só isso não. Nessa atualização também teremos a volta do Festival das Lanternas, com vários prêmios, eventos e uma nova personagem de 5 estrelas, a Ciclale, que chega nesse update para deixar o nosso festival anual ainda mais completo. E você pode baixar agora pelo link da descrição desse vídeo. Eu mesmo não consigo pensar num jeito melhor para ajudar ele nos transportes. E para economizar uma grana, ele mandava eu e meu irmão.
Professional Fortnite players have some of the worst and most unoptimal binds. In fact, they almost all play on completely awkward binds that make little to no sense, like Scroll, who, as his name suggests, has to use the scroll wheel to switch between all 4 of his build pieces. The optimal bind trap is one that I fell for back when I played controller, and then I fell for it again when I switched to keyboard and mouse. On the controller, there just aren't that many buttons, and there are a lot of binds. On a controller with no paddles, I found it impossible to have good movement since jumping requires you to press the A button with your thumb or awkwardly use your index finger if you play with claw, so this forced me into buying a controller with paddles on the back. But I found the issue with this was that pressing the edit key was slow and clunky on the back paddle, and I couldn't press it fast enough, so I decided to move that to the L1 button, which meant I had to switch my builds to one of the paddles. But then I realized that because I have 2 fingers on top of the controller, this made a large stretch between the middle and ring finger, which made the bottom 2 fingers tense and slow. No matter what binds I switched around, my gameplay never really improved. I'd fix one problem, like the editing speed, then I'd create another, and this cycle would continue. It also does not help that 99% of controllers break after a few months, especially ones with good paddles. So moving to keyboard and mouse was my fix for this, and it has more buttons, so obviously the same issue wouldn't happen again, right? Typically there are 6 major binds that you want to spread across as many fingers as possible. The 4 build binds, edit, and shotgun. Outside of the movement keys, these are the 6 binds that every single player will press the most, so if these binds are in awkward places, then it can really slow down your mechanics. Of course, there are a lot of other important binds like jump, the assault rifle button, and crouch, but these aren't ones that people typically optimize for, they're usually secondary. On keyboard and mouse, most players try to spread these 6 major binds out across 2 of their mouse side buttons and the fingers on their left hand as much as possible. In theory, this makes a lot of sense. It's a bad idea to have too many binds on one finger, as there's a delay in moving your finger from one button to another. If there's already another finger on that button, the delay is removed. If, for example, you use your floor on E and then your cone on C, you could press both of these with your index finger, but it would be much easier to press E with your index and then C with your thumb. Try this on the surface in front of you, but don't do this on the keyboard if you've got it in front of you, because you'll probably just tab out or skip around this video. Tap one finger back and forth as if you had 2 buttons there that you were pressing. Now try it as fast as you can. Now try to push these 2 imaginary buttons with 2 fingers instead, alternating between the 2. You'll almost definitely notice that there's just no way one finger can be as fast as 2. Everything I've said so far sounds great in theory, and I'm sure you all agree because I'm always right. So does it make sense that Peterbot, the fastest and undisputed best competitive player right now, has 3 build binds and his edit on one finger? Well, in order to understand this, you first need to understand the big problem with keyboard and mouse binds. One of the biggest issues that I very quickly realized when I switched from controller is the movement. When you're playing on controller, your left thumb moves the joystick, leaving the other 4 fingers on that hand to press whatever buttons you want. But on the keyboard and mouse, you use your index, middle, and ring finger to move. Given your right hand is on the mouse and not on the keyboard, this means that the only fingers free to press any other keyboard binds is the little finger and the thumb on your left hand. So in order to press a lot of the binds buttons, you have to take your fingers off of W, A, S, and D in order to hit these buttons, which limits your movement. For example, if you want to press F to edit, you use your index finger, but your index finger is what you use to press D when you walk to the right. This means that the vast majority of players cannot walk to the right and edit at the same time, which is a big limitation. Almost regardless of what binds you use, you're going to be limited in some way. Pro player Queasy has wall bound to Q, so he can't place a wall whilst walking to the left, and he also has floors bound to R and stairs bound to T, meaning that he can't walk to the right whilst pressing these with his index finger. Vico, who won FNCS last season, uses his thumb to press X and C, which are his binds for wall and floor, his little finger to press shift for cone, and then has his stairs on his mouse side button. This means that he can move in any direction and press any of his build binds, as none of these use his WASD fingers. But this still means that he has two binds built to one finger, which is on his thumb, and I'll be honest, I have no idea how he builds this fast with his thumb and doesn't accidentally mash the spacebar all the time, but even this layout still has problems. If you watch him free build in slow motion, you can see how things like his cones and floors can always place at the same time, since he can press both of these buttons with two different fingers. But if you watch him place a wall and then a floor, there's actually a bit of a noticeable delay between these two, as he has to move his thumb from C to X. Then to edit with E, he still has to move his index finger off of D, so like most people, he can't walk to the right and edit. And then there's also Scroll, who with just under $75,000 earned, has all four of his build binds on his mouse. Scroll presses Q to switch between his weapons to open his build menu, and then he uses the scroll wheel to select which build he wants to place. It also seems like he doesn't have reset building choice enabled either, which means that when he switches to his build bar, it doesn't automatically reset to a wall like it does for most people on controller. Instead, it pulls out the last build piece he used, and then he has to scroll up or down in my hand when I was playing with paddles back in the controller. This is exactly why. These two fingers are connected by a tendon in the middle, and they can't move independent of one another. Now, this doesn't make these two fingers useless by any means, but it goes to show the importance of the index finger and the thumb, since these 3 years. They all have one build bind on C, which they hit with their thumb. Then two of the build binds are on their mouse side buttons, but in Vico's case, he has two on his thumb, which is C and X, as we said earlier. Then they all also use left shift for cone, which they hit with their little finger. So basically, no build binds on any of the movement fingers. Both Vico and Noah use their index finger for editing, which makes sense, as this is the finger you need to be the fastest with. Then Cooper strangely uses his thumb to edit on V. Q for shotgun makes the most sense, which Cooper and Vico use, as you can just hit your edit with your index finger and then quickly pull out your shotgun using your ring finger on Q. So my suggested optimal quote-unquote binds are basically what Cooper uses, but with edit on F, as most people probably won't be as accurate with edit and wall both on their thumb. Now, Peterbot's binds may be very strange, but they're not the reason he's the player he is. If you want to find out why it's literally impossible to beat Peterbot, click on this video on screen right now.
Fortnite is the biggest game in the world, but 10 years ago, it looked like this. How did we get here? In 2011, Epic Games is developing Fortnite Save the World, and it finally releases in 2017. It's doing all right, but it's not blowing up. What is blowing up? Battle Royales. So Epic sees this, and in just a couple weeks, they make a Battle Royale version of Save the World called Fortnite Battle Royale.
Fortnite. It's free.
Whoa. At the start, nobody thinks this is going to be some massive game, but some gamers decided to actually give Fortnite a try. 100 players land on a massive, colorful map, you loot weapons, and the zone slowly shrinks, forcing players to fight until it's just a 1v1. And everyone wants their first win. If you're in the last 1v1, you are literally shaking with nervousness, but so is the guy you're facing. It might have taken you hundreds of tries, but every Fortnite player will remember that magical time it happened. The time they actually got that last kill and got their first victory royale. The game was fun and free. Fortnite gained over 10 million players in its first month, and it would only get bigger with the release of Fortnite Season 1. The slurp juice is added, and for the first time ever, skins. Renegade Raider, Aerial Assault Trooper, there's now an item shop where you can buy things with V-Bucks. But I mean, who's really gonna spend money on Fortnite? I'll just save my money, and if the game gets popular, I'll just buy the skins later. We also got Fortnite's Halloween event, which brought the Pumpkin Launcher, Bull Trooper, and Skull Trooper, which was instantly claimed by some kid named I'm the Myth. Oh look, he's kind of starting to learn how to build. And he just beat this big Twitch streamer by just building higher and higher on him. Maybe building is actually useful. Meanwhile, players figure out that instead of fighting, you can just hide in bushes and literally no one will notice. Other people want to hide in the sky, so why not make a big sky base and hope no one looks up? And what's this? Fortnite just released an update. They fixed a ton of bugs, like the pump having infinite range, and added a new item, a launch pad. Epic just releases new content like this every week for free? This Fortnite game's kind of different, huh? But it's about to get a lot more different in Season 2. Epic adds a small POI called Tilted Towers, and a minimum of 80 people are landing there. Boogie Bomb is also here with the mini shield, the minigun, silenced pistol, the crossbow. Fortnite couldn't miss. And even I got my big break by using a launch pad and some traps to make a trap tower. Oh yeah, there's also this guy who's getting kind of popular on Twitch. His name is Ninja. He's kind of the best player in the game right now. We got the first battle pass with the Black Knight and the Floss. Hey, yo, Ninja, is this enough movement? Players find a glitch where you can shoot an RPG at your friend and have him jump on it and ride the rocket. Instead of fixing the glitch, Epic makes it a part of their game. Meanwhile, a guy called Daquan figures out you can use 2 pump shotguns and switch between them for much more damage. Thankfully, Epic learned from rocket riding and decided to never ever remove double pump. There's now 45 million players on Fortnite, but that's nothing compared to Fortnite Season 3. Fortnite just went mainstream. It's on the news. All your friends are playing. Everyone in your class is playing it. Even your grandparents are catching epic victory royales. Lucky Landing, guided missiles, deagles, clingers, llamas. New battle pass is a banger. It has Rust Lord, Take the L, but also the infamous John Wick skin. At this point, fighting someone with a skin means they're a sweat. But if you ran into a John Wick, turbo building just got added, and now building is much easier. Myth is camping in these new things called 1x1s, and for the people actually playing the game, they're using ramp rushes to win fights. Everyone thought Fortnite was at its peak, but then Ninja plays Fortnite with Drake and shatters the Twitch viewership record. Then he hosts the first Fortnite tournament and breaks his record again. Fortnite Friday is also here, a weekly tournament where duos race to get the most kills. Fortnite cannot be stopped. There should be nothing to worry about, but wait, there's this weird meteor in the sky, and it crashes into Dusty Depot in Fortnite Season 4. Dusty Depot is now Dusty Divot. There's hop rocks, stink bombs, bouncers, jetpacks, and of course, shopping carts. There's a new superhero battle pass. The skins are okay, but the orange shirt kid finally got justice. Shopping cart challenge videos covering Dusty Divot, clickbaiting the bunker, or just getting squad wins with the boys. Fortnite was the hot thing on the internet. But wait, no way. Thanos is now in Fortnite in their first ever collab? Everyone is scrambling, trying to land on the gauntlet to become Thanos because he is super overpowered. Ninja is pulling 100,000 live viewers because he's the best player, obviously. But there's this other guy that people say is even better. His name is Tfue.
All right, I'm not dropping, dude. Coming with a swanton, dude.
But